CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Right.
you know, that's just
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah. And then on top of having the condition too,
Yeah, and
right?
it's hard, like, I get it, like, you do, if as a business owner, I mean, not that I'm a business owner, but I can understand the concept of being a business owner. I need my people there,
Right.
but I had a great team, that I was the leader of, that whether or not they liked me as a person, we still had each other's backs.
Right.
We would cover each other's shifts.
Right.
They were very rarely left at a point where they like were screwed and
Right.
couldn't run the store
Right.
because I wasn't there.
Right.
I was never not there. I mean, I went through work and was bent over at a almost a 90-degree angle
Right.
because my gastrointestinal problems that I have caused me so where I was in so much pain I couldn't stand up, and we were building a store,
Right.
and I worked 9 hours bent over,
Oh my Lord.
and nobody was like, I mean, I wasn't doing it for attention or for somebody to say, hey, you need to go home. I was doing it because they needed me there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I stayed.
Sacrificed. Yeah. And then how did they repay you? Obviously, it was self-interest and
Exactly.
yeah.
And like I said, I get it, but we weren't in, I get needing somebody there, but it wasn't so detrimental that like things were getting done. The hard launches that were coming out of different brands were getting done. The graphics were getting done. Things were getting done, and they were
Right.
getting done well, and they were getting done on time.
Right.
And regardless, and even when I wasn't there, my team would call me, text me throughout the day, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
My boss said, no, you guys can't text each other
Ah,
outside of work because the company wants you to be able to be paid. So if you're doing anything for work, you have to clock in. And if it's, you can't, if you're not, so you can only text each other about covering shifts.
ah,
I'm like, if my team wants to text me
yeah.
while I'm sitting in the hospital,
Yeah. Open communication or check
I'm
on
not going to
you.
be like, oh, I'm off the clock. And I would answer and things would still get done.
Yeah. Of course.
So
Yeah.
it was just,
What
it's,
a struggle.
it's frustrating,
Yeah.
but
And especially when you have to, you feel like in today's society, you not only have to work the 40-hour a week, but you have to work the 40 plus the side gig.
mm-hmm.
And so amongst all the appointments every week and the
Oh
things that you
yeah.
miss, like that balance is tough.
And I have my oldest child was born with an incredibly rare congenital eye condition,
Okay.
and he's legally blind in
Right.
his left eye. There's no lens in there. He's got very complicated glaucoma that about 3 to 5 times a year we end up having to rush to the ER because his eye pressure is like 44 and it's supposed to be
Right.
between 10 and 22.
Right.
And it causes vomiting, and I mean your eye can basically explode for
Right.
all intents and purposes.
Right.
But, so sometimes it's not even my stuff.
Right.
But I'm a
Yeah.
single parent. My family,
Yeah.
my mom has passed away, my grandma's passed away, my dad's passed away, my
Oh,
sister
yeah.
doesn't live close any longer. My
Yeah.
my brother and I are estranged. I do have an aunt in the area, but she's got her own life. We're not involved, so I really have me and my kids.
Right.
I have a few wonderful close friends, but
Yeah.
also they have, well, actually all of my close friends have lupus or some
Right.
sort of debilitating
Yeah.
chronic pain condition.
Yeah. Which
You
most
know,
of us have nowadays,
right.
oddly enough.
So, it's not like I have this army of people that can be like, "Don't worry, you go to work. I'll take, your kid to the ER."
Right.
I don't have that.
Yeah, which you need to help grow
So
that.
it's
Yeah.
me, so
Right.
when my kid needs to go to the ER and I have to
It's
work, I'm not
yeah.
choosing my job
Right.
over my child.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
on my deathbed, I'm not going to be like, I'm sure glad I ditched my sick kid
Yeah.
that day and went to work, you
Or
know.
even your own health,
Right,
which is what they
exactly.
want you to do
Like,
is choose work over your own health and well-being.
right. And I was working in the beauty industry my last job, which is not my norm. They recruited me. It was a great offer at the time. It's not my normal thing, but it's not worth it to sell somebody some freaking eyeliner. Like,
Right.
I don't care about that. more than myself.
Yeah, of course.
And if I'm dead, I can't come to work tomorrow either.
Yeah, that'd be
So
a good point
how
for
about I'll
that.
take it away, take care of it today, and then
Yeah.
I can continue to work because I
Yeah,
won't be dead.
that would be helpful.
Or I won't injure myself at work and cause things to happen that involve the words like litigation.
Yeah, to them. So
or
they have
workman's
to
comp.
be, yeah,
Like it's within your
exactly.
best interest
Right,
that I don't further injure myself at
right,
work. You know,
right.
it's just that weird.
Such a tough balance.
It is. It is.
Especially when you're a single mom and working and going through the pain stuff. That's just, and kudos to you, Liz. You're a
Thank
warrior
you, Abe.
just for doing that and going through that. And we touched a little bit earlier in that part of that conversation about like when you're a caregiver and when you're also having people take care of you,
Right.
especially when people take care of you, kind of that feeling of like we kind of talked about and touched on, like that guilt.
Yeah.
So do you kind of get that when you feel like people are constantly taking care of you? Do you get that feeling?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's actually, I've had a lot of my friends just over the years. My last back surgery, a friend that lived in Eugene like came down, drove me to and from my surgery, stayed with me for a couple of days. That was the first time I've ever really had that kind of help. But it takes, I don't even ask for help. It takes me a lot to ask because I
Right.
just, people say it's fine and then it always gets thrown in my face later on, or like just I'm the caretaker of my children, and me having to rely on the people I take care of to now take care of me
Right.
is emotionally a weird thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be a burden, and
Right.
everyone says, "Oh, you're not a burden. It's your health. You can't help it." But negative or positive, it is a burden.
Yeah.
It's an additional thing on your plate.
Yep.
You know, when my kid gets the stomach flu and I can't go to work that day, that's a burden. It's not
Exactly.
necessarily a burden I'm unwilling to take on, because
Right.
obviously,
Right.
but it is a burden.
Yeah, which can cause that guilt, right?
Yeah.
And feed that guilt
I feel
even
so
more.
bad about
Right.
it, but I get to a point where I'm going to further injure myself
Right.
if I don't just lay down
Yep.
and let go
Yep.
and let the help come.
Yeah, and let the people help you. And it's hard to
Yeah.
process that guilt. Like even for me and my wife as my caretaker, I'm still processing that guilt that I have, like even you mentioned, but with the kids, but even me or people in that type of thing, like I can't help at all.
Right.
I can't do anything to help out, so I feel like a burden and a guilt.
Yeah.
So it's good to find, like you mentioned, like that commonality that we all have, right?
Yeah.
Like we all feel that guilt no matter what situation you're in or where you're at. We all have that guilt aspect, which
Yeah.
is big. And so um and again, like when you see that, and now that you've kind of come so far in your journey of pain, a lot of us always have that feeling of like the me before
Yes.
and the me after.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, or can you explain a little bit, do you feel like there was a you before and a you after? And kind of what changed? And maybe it was positive, maybe it was totally ruined my life, but kind of what changed for you from that old to new?
Yeah. Definitely. There was definitely, you know, that shift of the before and after. My
Right.
life before the injury, my life after the injury, or like a death in the family before my mom died, after my mom died. So with the, yeah, absolutely. I used to be able to go to my friends' birthday parties, or
Yeah.
hey, we're going to karaoke for, let's
Right.
go out to dinner with the brunch with the girls,
Right.
or whatever, family functions, when we had family functions around,
Yeah.
because I had family around. But
Yeah.
you know, I used to be able to do that. I was in a band for years and performed
Yeah.
every weekend. I was like 2010. I mean, not that I wasn't like, because I was an alcoholic, but I was in a bar almost every night of the week,
Right.
because we were performing, and that's
Yeah.
where all my friends worked, and my friends were in bands, and they're all performing and going to shows. And
Right.
I used to, and I'd go out, I'd put my kids to bed, I'd go do my music thing, I would come home, go to bed, get up in the morning, get the kids off to school.
Right.
I was able to do all of those
Right.
things.
Right.
Even with like my fibromyalgia, which causes a lot of fatigue and pain like that. But I
Sure.
got that pretty well maintained. But after my injury, I mean, when it originally happened, I was basically bedridden for
Right.
about 2.5 months.
Wow.
And I was engaged at the time, and he was amazing
Sure.
and did everything for us. But I was very depressed.
Yeah.
Just not being able to be myself. Like I
Right.
was stuck.
Who you were.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
this, vibrant person with, more energy. I wouldn't say I was energetic, but I definitely had more energy than I do now. And
Right.
I slept better and things like that. And so the depression, I went through a pretty long, bad bout of depression when the injury first happened. And it affected everything. I'm not engaged anymore, for
Right.
one.
Right.
I live in a very different home because
Right.
I'm not engaged anymore, and I
Right.
couldn't carry it myself. But and my friends, I've lost a lot of friends
Yeah.
or people that I thought were friends because they
Yeah.
take it personal that I missed their birthday,
Right.
or keep making plans, and it seems like I'm a flake because like every time that day rolls around, something comes up and I
Right.
can't do it. I can't drive. I don't feel
Sure.
well. With the back injury coupled with all my other health stuff going on, there are days where I mean, I rarely make plans
Yeah.
just because I don't know if I can follow through with them all the time.
Right.
But it's definitely given me, I know how strong I am.
Yeah.
I know,
Right.
I still, I'm not saying, oh, go me, but there,
Oh, go you,
but
girl.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
go
some days
you.
I'm like, I get points for breathing
Yeah,
today,
go
so
you.
that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So, and it's made me appreciate the little teeny tiny
There you
things.
go. Right.
The little things.
Right.
It's also taught me to advocate for myself in the healthcare
Oh,
field
that's a big one.
because I know my body. They do not know my body.
Right.
They know my body in a clinical way because it's a human body and they studied it. But I know, like when my third herniation happened, I went to my doctor and I said, I'm pretty sure this is what's going on. They did the MRI and that's exactly what was going on.
Right.
Because I could feel the difference and I could feel what was the same. And
right.
So that has been, a positive. I think there's always a positive
Yeah.
to the negative. I feel like you can't have one without the other. I mean, it absolutely ruined my life.
Right.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also gave me, and is still giving me, a lot of positive things.